Sweet Flagnards, man. This is one of those chapters, just one of those rent-free chapters that just will not escape your mind no matter what you do. And the possibilities are endless, so many theories. But for me, man, ever since I read it, and ever since I looked at the comments, and just going back and rereading it a few times, I can't stop thinking about the possibility that Kinemon is either already dead or is going to die in the next chapter. And the thing with Kinemon is, throughout the course of this entire arc in Wano, he has become one of my favorite side characters in the entire series. One of my favorite characters introduced within an arc that is very important to a saga and then becomes more and more important as everything progresses. Right? He's always been a really funny character. There's always been somebody who's just enjoyable to have on screen. But within the Wano arc, and especially within Onigashima, this man has had so many great moments. And moments that have just continued to have him climb and climb higher in my favorite characters list. But if Kinemon were to die right here, protecting Momonosuke, protecting Shinobu, protecting Odin's legacy, protecting the honor of this castle, while, I mean, you gotta think about the tragedy of everything that's going down right here, folks. This man, right now, just proceeded to cut down a man whom that same individual in Conjure referred to him as his best friend. He just lost Kiku. I'm going to assume that Kiku was either dead or heavily injured. That was no run-of-the-mill blow. That was a stab through the stomach on some, you know, vagabond, you know, stuff. You feel me? Like, that was a blow. And with Kinemon's, or with Kiku's final words here, with the lingering snow finally melting, being able to tell when the dawn is near, that stuff hits, man. And, you know, their entire story within this arc has been extremely emotional, but this chapter in particular, whenever you have the possibility of all three of these characters going down at the same time, the way that the panels were structured, it was hitting on a different emotional level, man. And just Kinemon, after seeing what happened with Kiku, going and cutting, because I know deep within Kinemon's heart, he really wanted Conjuro to come back to them and be like, listen, man, I'm sorry, like, and have his redemption moment, because whenever you have that individual, especially with a person like Conjuro that's been with them for such a long time, no matter what it is that they've done, you want to have that moment with them where it's like, man, I'm sorry, or man, whatever it is. And I know that because I've gone through it. You know what I mean? And I've seen other stories in which that has taken place. Like, these characters, especially in a series like this, that is so heavy on familial bonds that go beyond blood-related bonds, right? Where families can be created by individuals that aren't related to you by blood. You know, Conjuro was that man's family. He was a fellow retainer. He, for so many years, was alongside him. Conjuro even referred to him as his best friend. He was like, after all, while I was performing on the stage, you were my best friend. And in the way that that was delivered, a real deal, like, hit home, man. And it's like, this man has done some really dastardly things. I mean, he deserved to be cut down for impersonating Odin 2 times, betraying them like 3 times in this whole arc. But it's just, you know, deep within his heart, because of the kind man that Kinemon is, he really didn't want to do it, but he did it. He had to do it, man. And after cutting down his quote-unquote best friend, after losing Kiku before his very eyes, now he is faced with the one man who was behind this entire thing. It's because of Kaido that all of it started going downhill in the first place. I mean, first and foremost because of Orochi, but Orochi would have no power if it wasn't for this big Brock Lesnar dragon-looking beast, all right? Kaido's that dude. And so, with Kinemon now face-to-face and yelling at Shinobu, man, to take Momonosuke and run. And the thing with Kinemon is that he understands, because of the Odin flashback, the significance of individuals getting out in time. You know, he saw Odin's noble and incredible sacrifice there whenever he was boiling himself within the pot. Not only whenever he was holding them up, but also whenever he threw them off and told them all to spread, and that he was going to take care of everything here. And that's whenever they were all running out, you know, tears falling down their eyes, and they continued moving forward, all for Odin's dream and one day opening the borders, right? So it's just, man, dude, it hits different and it hurts, because of everything that we've gotten with Kinemon's character so far, for him to possibly have his final stand take place within Onigashima against Kaido, and he's been near death in multiple different situations. We remember back in chapter 1000, whenever Luffy got up there, and Kinemon was very, very near death whenever he was delivering his final lines to him back on Roof Piece. But here in this case, man, to save Momonosuke's final cry right here. I know this is going to hit me really, really hard in the anime, because that ugly cry effect, I can already hear the music. It already is starting to choke me up, man, because I've come to really appreciate and love Kinemon's character. And the way that this man's mace, the way that his club comes down with the Conqueror's Haki coating flowing from it on top of Kinemon. I received a comment, man, and this one right here, I wanted to read it verbatim, because whenever I read it, it legit hurt. I'm not gonna lie, man, it legit hurt. It's from Ramiz Beg. He states, "Hey Recon, did you notice both of Kinemon's swords broke in that panel, so he couldn't block the attack? Kinemon might have legit died. His skull caved in. He did his mission, saved Momo. You can even see the smash sound effect on the club, so it did make impact with Kinemon. If you remember how we first met Kinemon without a top half of his body, the way he was introduced is the way he might die as well. Very much like how Odin was introduced as, I'm Odin and I was born to boil." If that is true, if that is truly the case, where we remember back in Punk Hazard, there was this flying metallic dragon, robot dragon that was going around while Kinemon was going around with half of his body trying to find the other half. If he truly is about to die in the same place in which he was introduced, or in the same way that he was introduced, and bring that whole thing full circle, then I'll tell y'all what, man, next chapter is about to be one of the most emotional chapters in the entire series. Without question. Without question, man. It's going to hit home, because I already know that Kinemon is going to have his final speech in the same way that Odin had his final speech. And so he's going to deliver some amazing lines, no doubt about Luffy, no doubt about the borders of Wano one day opening, and all of that, man, for the future and the well-being of the retainers and of this country that he loves so much. And he must have some final words for Sudo as well. So it's going to hit hard, man, if this truly is the end of Kinemon. If my man, next chapter, we see his final words, we see him giving everything that he has to stay alive, and Kaido just pones him. Because the reason why I can totally see this happening is because due to the structure, you know, all of us ever since the 5-act structure was initially introduced to us because the Kabuki plays, we were all like, okay, according to the thing, you know, rising action in Act 2, Act 3, at the end of an Act 3 is a tragedy will take place. Act 4, you know, falling, the part of the story when things are starting to wrap up and hit it, and then 5 will be like the resolution / climax, right? So I'm going to assume Act 4 climax, Act 5, you know, the post arc stuff, or maybe the resolution of the arc climax, whatever. But Act 3 was the thing that all of us were always hinging on, of like, man, Act 3 is gonna end on a tragedy. And I remember the theory for so long being Law is going to die, or this person's going to die, or whatever. You know, Kinemon was always up there as one of the candidates to possibly die, so it's not something that is just coming out of left field. But I think it's because of the way that Oda has allowed me to get closer to this man's character through the Odin flashback, through the entirety of the Wano Kuni arc, throughout all of these sagas from Punk Hazard until now, but especially in Onigashima, man, where I've started to see, like, the true greatness behind this man's character. And it's going to hurt. It's going to hit hard. It's going to hit hard if this man truly ends up dying in the next chapter. And, I mean, just look at the way that it's been presented. And the thing is with Act 3 being... The end of Act 3 is around the corner. With Onigashima looming over the skies of mainland Wano, what better way for tragedy or despair to be inflicted upon the audience and upon these characters than by them not knowing if what happened to Luffy, because he's drowning in the sea, Onigashima falls on top of the flower capital, and Kinemon dies. Not only just Kinemon, Kanjuro, and Kiku all died. So it's like, man, wow. Wow, man. You know, you start to grow an intuition as One Piece fans when you feel something crazy is about to take place, when you feel something crazy is taking place. That's how I felt while reading this chapter. From the moment this chapter started until the very end, the way that it flowed, the way that it was structured, but also the drasticness of the situation and the way that Kaido was moving. I was like, man, this just feels different. This feels like something that's crazy. This feels like something that is leading and building up towards some really insane stuff. that is about to take place here in Onigashima. And I know that I feel like a broken record saying this, but the best of this arc is yet to come, and I think this chapter proves that. Like, it's crazy, man. It's absolutely nuts. And, you know, I know I've been talking about Kinemon here for a while, but shout out to Kiku as well. You know, Kiku, even though we were just initially introduced to her character within this arc, has become a character that we've become very close to, man. And so to see her go down like this, especially with the inner struggle, the inner conflict we've seen within her psyche within this arc, especially when it comes to the Conjuro situation and what have you, like, it's been hidden, man. And I wonder how Izo's gonna take this news and whatnot. And look at Zoro, man. You remember whenever Zoro saw her arm fly through the ceiling, and my man started playing no games after that. Imagine whenever he finds out that they died. I mean, it is going to hit different. So my thing with this, with the Kiku situation, Conjuro, and Kinemon, if the three of them at the end of next chapter, or at the end of Act 3, whatever, if they all truly die and pass here, then, man, dude, the stakes, the drasticness of this situation has hit an even higher plane than I initially anticipated this all being. Because the stakes have always been high because we're facing off against two Yonko. But when Kaido raised Onigashima, it raised everything around tenfold. Now, where we currently are with Luffy at the bottom of the ocean and things going crazy. I mean, Zoro is currently out. He's going to have to, you know, have some doctoring go on him with Law, Marco, or Chopper. Somebody's going to have to take care of him. But we are currently down some major players right now, man. You know, and so if Kaido starts going around and performing cleanup duty, who in the Flying Flattener is going to go out and stop him? You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, this is a drastic situation. Kinemon right now and understands that better than anyone. And so that's the thing that makes me believe the next chapter is going to be Kinemon refusing to die, refusing to lose, refusing to let Kaido pass from that point on, because he needs to ensure that everyone else makes it to a point to where they can either be safe or rejuvenate enough of their strength, regain enough of their strength to be able to fight Kaido whenever he comes back around. Because he knows just how insanely powerful this dude is. And so he's going to have to buy some time, but while he's buying time, he's going to die. I firmly believe that's where we're going with either the next chapter or the chapter after that, but I think it's going to be next chapter. The way that this looks, the way this volume ended, it just reminds me of whenever Marineford was taking place in the final chapter of volume 58 was Ace getting, you know, struck through the middle of his chest, and the very first chapter, volume 59, was Ace's death. So we could have a situation with Kinemon here, where the very first chapter of volume 101, or whatever volume it is going to end up being his death, and Kinemon's death. So, and his final speech, like I said, it's going to end up hitting different, man. And God, just such an emotional chapter, so crazy, man. And like I said, this intuition that like we've grown to have when we know something crazy is about to go down. That's how I feel about what's about to take place next. I mean, if we look at what took place in this chapter, guys, at the end of the chapter, we see Onigashima looming over the skies of mainland Wano. That automatically tells us that Oda is letting us know, like, yo, we're about to start the bam, we're about to stop here, man. Like, Act 3 is about to end. And don't even get me started on post-act stuff, man. Don't even get me started on Sabo, Shanks, Hancock, oh my. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, that's a whole different other discussion. But just sticking within Wano, the fact that Onigashima is about to crash into the flower capital and Luffy is still at the bottom of the ocean that's hitting, man. You know what I mean? Like, this is not a joke. And I have actually another comment. Let's talk about Luffy, bro. Let's talk about Luffy. Let's transition over to Luffy. I have a comment here from Anani Moose 97. And this comment states, Luffy is going to be saved by that octopus. So last week, or whenever 1013 came out 2 weeks ago, and we did the Afterthoughts, I presented around 15 different scenarios, or was it 12, 15, whatever it was. A bunch of different scenarios talking about who's going to save Luffy. There were two different ones within that thing that now I think are becoming very plausible. The octopus, I didn't even think of, and you know how Oda is. Oda does not, this is why I think it's got to be one of these two. Well, it's got to be one of these three. It's got to be one of these three because they would just be perfect for bringing everything full circle. In terms of bringing Wano full circle, the octopus saving him is perfect. Now, if it is the octopus saving him, then who is the voice that Momo's hearing? You know, that is the key that holds us all in. So if the octopus saves him, does that tell us that octopus is from, like, the voice sentry? The octopus is some form of individual that can produce, you know, that within Momonosuke, I'm not sure. So let's just say octopus, a possibility. Lost submarine, massive possibility. It's always been there. That once again would bring Wano full circle. We have not seen in a long time. You know, it most certainly could happen. And then the third one, which is the one that I was talking about within the video or within the reaction, was the Sea Kings. Now, the Sea Kings is definitely the highest possibility. It would bring everything full circle. We know how Punk Hazard up until now has obviously been like the uphill climb towards Wano, so everything has been building up towards this. But Fishman Island feels like a bigger picture arc. You know, whenever you think back to Fishman Island, you think of like Noah and Joyboy and all these crazy things that were introduced within that arc that are so big for the overall bigger picture of the story that are extremely important. You know, looking back at the Roger flashback and eventually somebody with a straw hat will come in and destroy Fishman Island. You know, a lot of stuff that is for big picture One Piece comes out of Fishman Island. I think that if the Sea Kings were to show up here, that would definitely help bring Fishman Island within this arc as well. You know, Jinbei aside as well too, right? We got Jinbei too, you know, which we mainly got him in Whole Cake, but Jinbei, of course, mainly joining the crew within Fishman Island. But if the Sea Kings were to come in and save Luffy and bring that full circle as well, I think that would be perfect, and it would also explain why it is that that this man is currently losing his mind. And Momonosuke, you know, hearing this voice and like, "Sweet Mother of Flagnars, what is that sound?" Now, there's another time whenever Momonosuke started losing his mind over hearing some sort of crazy voice, and that was with Zunisha. And so I'm not going to rule out the possibility that Zunisha is heading here, because I remember the theory being, back in the day, there's two theories with Zo, right? There's two theories. There's the theory that Zunisha is actually heading towards Wano, which is where Zunisha's been heading for all of these years, or Zunisha has been heading towards Laugh Tale. So those are the two main theories, right? So we might not see Zunisha for a long time, Laugh Tale wise. But if Zunisha really is heading towards Wano for the Day of Legend, you know, for the mission at hand, the Flower Capital coming down on Zunisha instead of, or Onigashima falling on Zunisha instead of the Flower Capital is a definite possibility. One that I wouldn't want to see, because I don't want Zunisha to get wrecked like that, right? But it is a possibility. It most certainly is. Now, the thing is about that, though, is that there's still individuals that are living within it. So I'm going to assume it still is going to end up being Laugh Tale, but we can't throw out the possibility, right? Of Zunisha coming in and being the voice that was heard. Now, listen, man, on the topic of crazy things and big picture implications, whatever this thing that Momonosuke is hearing is obviously connected to the voice of all things. And we already know the characters who have been showcased to have this sort of thing, right? So whatever saved Luffy, man, whatever, whether it be Sea Kings, Lost Submarine, the octopus, whatever, right? It's all going to be connected to that voice that Momonosuke heard. Now, staying on that same connection, the biggest thought-provoking moment in this chapter for me, the moment that has left me thinking, whereas my heart has been sulking and sinking in the fact that Kinemon and Kiku and Conjuro might all be dead. Especially in, you know, Conjuro is expected, but Kinemon and Kiku, I kind of didn't want them to die, man. I wanted them to be, but now it's not looking very good for them right now, man. So the moment that has been sticking with me, aside from those, the most thought-provoking moment is without question the moment whenever Kaido comes in and starts talking about Joyboy. And immediately in your mind, you're like, okay, there's some obvious possibilities here, right? Kaido could have opened Oden's journal. You know, obvious one. Kaido could have talked to Rox. You know, Rox was known, and I received another comment, you know, talking about the Sengoku, you know, spoke of the taboo things that he would say, that Rox would say. And that was one of the reasons why he was so heavily hunted and disliked within the Marines, because my man, they were like, yo, man, my man's speaking some taboo things, you know, you can't be talking about that. So what about one of those taboo things really is Joyboy? And the thing is after this chapter, I've really started to think, what even is a Joyboy? You know, we've thought all these years that Joyboy was somebody's name, but what about if Joyboy is a title? You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I saw that comment a few times. Actually, I saw that comment several times. about Joyboy instead being a title, something like a pirate king, something like an emperor, you know what I mean? Like these titles that are established for individuals that change throughout the generations. And so a Joyboy from that generation can be a different Joyboy in this generation. You feel me? So the Joyboy of this generation could end up being whoever it is. I saw multiple different comments, you know, of course, ranging from Luffy to Momonosuke to Blackbeard to whatever it is, to Instant Messenger, Sama, whatever, right? There's a lot of different possibilities. The thing is, though, is that we cannot deny the comments that were stated back in the Roger flashback talking about, you know, the possibilities of Luffy being Joyboy, right, and whatnot. And so it's just, but my big picture question, you know, even beyond how Kaido knows so much, because Kaido knowing a lot it makes sense, you know what I'm saying? Like, this man's been around for a long time. He's been around people who know a lot. Obviously, he's within Wano. His poneglyph probably says something about Joyboy. I'm going to assume it will 100% say something about Joyboy. And Odin's journal, you know, we saw what Roger said, you know what I'm saying? So obviously he knows. He definitely knows something. But I think above him knowing all of that, my bigger picture question is why? Why is it that he stated what he stated, man? When we go back up to that panel and to that page, and he's like, yo, seems like you couldn't be Joyboy either. Seems like you weren't Joyboy. Or you couldn't be Joyboy. And when you think about it, it's like, yo, what is his motivation for stating that? What is his motivation for being like, yo, you aren't Joyboy? And it's kind of like he kind of wanted it to be Joyboy. You know what I mean? It's like, man, maybe it could have been him. It could have been him, but no, it's not him. And at least in his mind, you know, for me, if it truly is Luffy, then, you know, he'll come right back in and eventually we'll have that fulfilling moment where he's like, sweet mother of Flagner. It most certainly is him, like, oh, I finally met Joyboy, whatever that is, right? But I want to know the motivations why. Like, is it a connection to his backstory? Did something take place within his backstory? Maybe this hope that he always had, the reason why he became so strong was because he one day wished to fight either alongside or against Joyboy. Maybe it's against Joyboy. Maybe he heard the legends of Joyboy, maybe from Rocks himself, and was like, yo, I would love to fight this dude, or I look up to this dude, or Captain Rocks looked up to him, or maybe it might be like a Hunter x Hunter situation, right? Where we know that Gon chases after Jing and becomes a hunter because he wants to know what's so special about being a hunter that Jing would leave him for so many years. And I think in One Piece's case, that could be something with Kaido and Rocks. What about if Kaido looks at Joyboy? Maybe Rocks dipped out on the crew. They never saw him again because he was out in a search for Joyboy. Or maybe that was his goal the entire time, was to go out and search for Joyboy, the remnants of Joyboy, the big straw hat, you know, whatever it is, right? So whatever that ended up being, maybe Kaido was on a mission. He was like, man, this Joyboy dude must have been something. You feel me? So maybe he spent so much time like, yo, my captain betrayed me, or my captain did this to me because Joyboy is just that important, you know, like Joyboy was just, and he wanted to know why, he wanted to know how, he wanted to know everything in order to figure out why it is that he was betrayed, or why it is that he was, whatever, why Rocks held him in such high regard, or you know, that's just one possibility. But I just want to know the motivation behind him saying this. That fascinates me more than where he got the knowledge from. You feel me? Because I feel like Kaido, with every chapter that passes, I feel like more layers get poured onto his character. And this is another layer now where I'm like, man, dude, so he knows this. There's a lot of implications that could showcase why he knows this, but it's the how. How, and what made him say this, and what is pushing him to say this as Luffy's falling into the ocean. Like, you couldn't be Joyboy either. Does that mean he wants to be Joyboy? Why does he want to meet the real Joyboy? Or whatever, like, you know what I mean? Like, I want to know that motivation. That motivation is what's driving me right now, and driving my insane amount of, like, sweet Flagnars. This is crazy. Like, sweet Flagnars, this is going in. This is nuts. You know what I mean? So, that is my biggest question coming out of this chapter, and one that I think we're not going to get answered until we get Kaido's flashback. I'm not sure how long Kaido's flashback is going to end up being. You know, normal villain flashbacks in One Piece, at least for the major antagonists and arcs, haven't been that long, but all of them have been fantastic. You know, which is kind of what spooks me about Crocodile, right? Crocodile has always been one of the most mysterious characters, and we barely got anything out of his story and whatnot. So I look forward to seeing what Oda cooks up with Kaido's backstory here. Or maybe he doesn't give us a backstory. Maybe he gives us everything that we need to know within the present. I'm not sure. I'm not sure, man. Because the thing is, in order to go into Kaido's flashback, he would have to show us rocks. And I don't know if he wants to show us rocks because, let's just say, quote-unquote, rocks is Instant Messenger Sama. Then wouldn't he want to save that for whenever M-Sama gets introduced? Or if rocks is a connection to what's currently going on outside of the world of One Piece, wouldn't he want to save that for that? But then again, if he starts revealing that at the end of Act 3, at the end of Act 4, and then we get Kaido's flashback, Act 4, Act 5, then it could work hand in hand in that way, right? Regardless of whether we end up getting his flashback or not, I think we're going to find out more, not only about Joyboy, but about this whole motivational thing and why he's so motivated to find Joyboy, whatever it is, through his flashback or through some sort of thing. So with Kaido, you just never know anymore, man. My man went out here. He turned on his YouTube channel. He was like, yo, Yiga Clan, put it on, press the red button. He was like me, son. He was like, yo, press live stream. My man went on Twitch and was like, yo, we're about to catch a W on Warzone. I want everybody to hear about it. I just caught a dub on Warzone. Everybody gonna hear about this one. Announce the outcome of, yo, listen, yo, Kaido's that dude, man. Kaido is that dude. I talked about the possibility last time that would make me mark out of Kaido going on and chasing after Luffy in the ocean. I would have lost my mind. But no, we got something just as crazy, not crazy than that. This time I saw him drop into the ocean, delivered some bangers, made fun of his techniques, man, in the Gomu Gomu no. I saw a comment that was like, yo, what about if that was Oda telling us that Luffy was about to hit him with a new technique and Kaido stopped him from doing it? I was like, yo, that's a possibility. That's a possibility, man, right? And so, but him making fun of Luffy by itself is worthy of a great moment. I mean, what a great character in Kaido is. So he's becoming truly like one of my favorite antagonists within the series. With every chapter that passes, he's such a great villain, man. He really, really is. But Momonosuke getting his resolve. Yamato. I really wonder what's gonna happen with Yamato now, because Yamato now is heading towards an empty roof that Kaido's not on. And so I wonder what's going to end up happening with Yamato. Is Yamato going to end up going towards Jack, King, and Queen and going to have the altercations there? Or, you know, what happens? What happens now with Yamato? Does Yamato end up going back, you know, hearing what happened with Kaido or hearing that Luffy lost? You know, what does Yamato do now? I'm actually genuinely fascinated and interested by what Yamato's going to end up doing next. And I have no idea, man. I like, my brain is so caught off guard that I don't know, man. And shout out to Chopper, dude. Chopper is out here delivering angle slams. It's Suplex City with Chopper in Monster Point form against Queen, son. And not only against Queen and Perospero. Chopper is out here, son. Yo, Chopper is legit out here. And we got the legend himself, Caesar, the legend Gangster Gangstino, bro. Out here going up Intellect Swimwear, delivering his lines to Chopper. That was really cool. He's a menace, man. The dude is crazy. I saw a comment that had me rolling. It was like, yo, this man went out, got smacked in the face for doing this with the kids back in Punk Hazard. Now he's trying to do this with one of the Straw Hats. He has no shame. He has no shame whatsoever. But you got to respect that in terms of his heart as a scientist. You know, at the end of the day, he's not a good dude, but he's a passionate dude. You know what I mean? Like, oh, he's out here trying to live his dream, and he's a real deal a scientist, man, to the core of his being. He's like, I don't care if I get smacked, man. I need results, and I need them now, son. But Black Coffee, man, just interesting stuff in terms of this whole Chopper situation, man. He went ham, dude. So shout out to my boy Chopper for going like somewhere not only on the field, you know, healing individuals, doctoring, taking care of the situation, but then also this massive suplex. Crazy. This panel right here, dude, with showcasing where everybody is so well needed for me, man. I really wanted to see where all of these individuals were, and this was the perfect panel to showcase it. It is a double-page spread that showcases where every single individual is. Actually, it was so jam-packed that the first time I read this chapter, it left my mind for a bit that that the law was in these the law was here as well. And so really good stuff. My favorite part about this entire thing is how the Straw Hats were reacting to hearing this, Marco as well, and whatnot. But dude, Sanji and Zoro being like, screw that, my man ain't defeated. We ain't surrendering either. I love that so much coming from those two. I truly do. I really, really do, man. I can't wait to see what they're going to do next in response to that. And I look forward because we know how Law is with his strategies. What kind of a strategy is Law going to come up with in order to go against that? You know, in order to be like, yo, we gotta get our success rate up. You know what I mean? Like, we got to go in. And his resolve is deep. And we saw his conversation, his inner conversation with Korasan as he was looking at the poneglyph. So I do wonder what Law's resolve is about to be. Is he about to attempt to go after Kaido and get him a knife over there and attempt to take him on his own, you know, in an attempt to save this in some way, shape, or form? I don't know. I don't know what Law's going to do, but every other character right now is currently in their own battles. None of them can really go out and attempt to save Luffy. So they're just leaving it up to the king. They believe in him and whatnot. But I just really love this line from Sanji and Zoro. It's great. It's a really, really fantastic line. So yeah, man, all in all, what a crazy chapter. What a crazy, crazy chapter, dude. So many things within this chapter. I felt like it was a really long chapter. When in reality, it was the same amount as usual. But there was just so much that took place. So many things to think about, so many things to process. But man, the end of the chapter, just the heartstrings, the emotions, Momonosuke seeing his pops, you know, he's still a little kid at heart, man. And so seeing that, all of them are a couple months removed from Odin dying. And that's the thing that makes it so tragic too. It's like, you know how much it hurts Kiku to do this. Kiku just saw Odin a couple months ago is when all that stuff took place, right? So it's like, to her, man, it's got, I can't even fathom, man. Just amazing. A phenomenal chapter. This chapter hit different. And the most crazy thing about this chapter, like I was saying earlier, is not only was this chapter absolutely phenomenal and insane, but you can just tell that this is the beginning of more insane things to come, and that's what scares me. And so if this is truly the end for Kiku and Kanjuro, man, dude, for Kanjuro, it's like sweet Flagnards, man, and his final line right here, with the "You were my best friend," that junk hit, man. It did. And Kiku and their story, man, just shout out to Kiku, man. But Kinemon, his incredible dope spreads here, cutting him down. If he real deal was taken out right here, then man, dude, but I'm sticking with him taking this hit and continuing to take hits, attempting to buy time. We get an amazing final speech. Kinemon goes out like a legend that he is. And man, dude, if that's the case, then I'm not ready to read the next chapter. I'm not, man. There's no break next week, though. And so whatever's about to take place, we're going to be finding out very, very soon what happens next in Onigashima, man. Will Act 3 end next chapter? Who knows? But what I do know is that no matter what takes place, the intuition is rolling, our observation hockey's moving, and next week's chapter, I don't even have to read it to know that it's about to be another legendary one, man. Oda's been on another level in this Onigashima saga, but it feels like ever since we hit the 4 digits, we've gotten so many chapters, so many rent-free chapters that just live up here, and it's just nuts, man. Crazy, crazy stuff. Just the vibe, the way this chapter felt was different, man. What an awesome character Kaido is, man. He is truly a menacing, just overwhelming presence that just leaves me every single week being like, how in the world are we going to defeat this guy? And I'm the biggest, you know, Straw Hats and Luffy fan there is, man. You know, somebody were to tell me Luffy can 1v1 Kaido, I'd be like, yo, he can. But the more that we see from Kaido, and the more that Oda presents Kaido's, you know, strength, his greatness, his presence as a villain, it's like, yo, I love him more and more. The more he speaks, it's like a combination of Brock Lesnar, Thanos, and he has his own flair, you know, looking like Slifer and Blue Eyes in one character. He's just, that's Kaido, man. He's a really, really special character, and it's such a great villain and antagonist for this arc. And I love how many shades, you know, how many layers he's had added onto his character throughout the course of this entire arc. And I can't wait to see more, you know, peeling back in the layers, because that's when Kaido's really going to become a favorite, when we start peeling back in those layers, you know. So what a character, what a chapter. Can't wait for more, man. But I will see y'all next time. Everybody has an awesome day. Let me know what y'all thought about this chapter in the comment section down below. A lot to think about, a lot to speculate on. But man, dude, the next one's gonna be a good one, dude. Can't wait for it.